Uh, it's guys, good evening, good morning, wherever you're watching this from. I think in television these days, we should stop saying that thing of good evening, good morning, because this is the age of multimedia. You can see the show from at any time you choose, anywhere you choose, on any platform you choose, YouTube, whatever. But anyhow, I want to welcome you to a very, very special edition of Libation. My name, as usual, is Emekamba. I haven't changed that name. Um, I have today is again, I think I've become famous for saying every day is special. Today is extra, extra special because I have someone. My guest today is someone that, yes, so much younger as a young man, but he's done some great things that sort of belie his age and then set him apart on a path that I think that, in my estimation, he's become, he's done an iconic something that everybody, at least here in Enugu and in the Southeast and wherever you are as an Igbo person, you sort of look at this work and you just marvel at the incredible vision, incredible creativity that he's put to this work. And so it's my honor and privilege to welcome Mr. Sunday Chukwu.
Thank you very much, sir.
To this special episode of Libation.
Thank you very much.
Sunday is he's an artist. He's a sculptor, as his wife likes to call him, iron bender. his wife Susan. Over the last 2 months, we've been tracking his progress as he's gone around. If you on Facebook, I'm sure anywhere you're watching this, you will have encountered or seen videos or pictures of a wonderful installation, the Ijele Masquerade at the Onwasata Roundabout here in Enugu, and which is this thing is a monument to Igbo culture and celebrating Igbo culture. It's, I think, about 30 feet high in the air, sitting right in the center of Enugu, Presidential Road, the Gui Stadium. You can't miss it, and I'm sure, go check it out. When we go on the break, I know we'll have the pictures and the videos up on the screen, on your screen. But if you want to see it from multiple dimensions, you can check it out yourself. Just type Ijele Masquerade in Enugu on any search engine. I'm sure you see it. So Sunday,
Sir, thank you very much.
to Libation.
I'm happy to be here.
Just before we went on, I was saying to you that because I've been with you over the last how many weeks and months as you worked on this project, it seemed as if we've talked about that. We've discussed everything.
We can't exhaust everything.
No, true. But we have a custom here. This show is called Libation for a particular reason. So I'm changing the script. So I'll pour some libation to welcome you.
Thank you.
To a show. Makandi.
Yeah.
So that they will hear us and they will protect us.
Yeah. You see.
You see. And I will give you a shot.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
No. I'm
Asina onye wetara oji wete ndị ọkpa. Ọkwa ife eku.
O eziokwu.
Dalụ rinne.
O ihe ji mala anyị bụ n'Igbo. Oji.
Yes.
N'udo na ọganiru.
See.
So.
Dalụ rinne. Thank you very much.
Ịma asịkwa na oji ya na Igbo.
Oji
ya na Bekee. Sọsọ Igbo.
Aga m agba n'ịsụ Igbo nke mma asụ.
Try ya.
Okay, no, ka nsụọ na-agbani na-ekenekwa m gị n'ihi m ọjị na mbịabe gị. Na ọjị anyị weta, ọ ga-adịrị anyị niile na mma. Ọganiru ka ọ ga na-aga, agaghị na-achị azụ. Ihe niile n'obi anyị dị mma, Chineke ga-eme ebere, ọ na-eme. Ndị nna nna anyị ga na-emepere anyị ụzọ ka ihe niile anyị bụ n'obi na ọdịna mma nke be anyị ka ọ na-aga ọfụma. Daalụ rinne. Daalụ sa.
Ihe were ofu wee na
ọfụma na
tinye na akpa kịta.
Daalụ sa.
Tinye na akpa.
Daalụ.
So ga-awanụ nke a ka anyị taa ka anyị nwere
Asị na ojiro no.
Okwebosi.
Okwebosi. You know.
So if you're watching, this is how we do it. As an Igbo person, we believe that this thing you see here embodies the essence of what it means to be Igbo. As it's a representation of peace, of unity, of strength, and of character. So it's very symbolic, but it has a very high significance in our culture. So, no.
Dalorini, you know.
So, when.
Thank you very much.
Also, Ojidikwa. So, as we welcome him, while I chew on this, we'll go on a quick break, and when we come back, stay tuned because this young man here, his story is unique and special, and I'm sure you want to hear more of what he's got to say. So join us. We'll be back in a minute. Thank you. Thank you for remaining with us. We're back on the show, Libation, with I think we should call him Sculptor Sunday. I like that. I like that name.
Thank you.
No.
Dalorini.
There's my first question, actually comes from as I presented you with the Oji. You struggle with your Igbo.
Yes.
How is that? Tell me a bit of the background and why that is the case.
I'm from Nume Onateze. And
Nume Onateze is
Nume Onateze, Enugu East. And I would have loved to be here, to be born here, if I was asked to get permission of where do you want to be given birth to. I said, okay, if I'm Igbo, let me be given birth to in Igbo land. But I was not opportune to be given birth to here. My father works for Julius Berger in the 70s and got like a transfer. When Julius Berger came in, they took them for work somewhere around Abuja and the northern area, Kaduna. So they dispatched them. So some came back to different locations where they had projects. So my dad's beggar yard was in Mina. That is in Tudun Fulani, Mina, Niger State. So that was where my dad came before, he got married and started giving birth to children. So I'm the third child of 7. And I was given birth to Mina, Boso.
In Niger State?
Yes, in Niger State. So like that, we started growing up there. Though we get to speak Igbo at home, but you can't take away that there are more influence outside home than inside the house. So we go to school, we meet children from the north, Bagi, Hausa, from different ethnic group in the north, but the most prevalent was Hausa. So in as much I knew that I was going to be Igbo, I was keen also to hear and speak Hausa. So that was how we grew up. I think I left the north after 19 years while I set out for the University of Benin. So University of Benin, though we used to come to village for like 2 weeks, Christmas holiday, but when you come down, everything is different from where you're coming from. But but my first encounter to live in the southern part of the country was my journey to the University of Benin. And then, so after then, I had options to go to. I went back to the north to serve in Jigawa.
Oh, really?
Yes, I served in Jigawa. So by going back to Jigawa was like, if I'm going to grasp the Hausa language, I'm going to, I speak the Hausa language better than English because I love the language, though it's an international language too. But I knew that I would also have to go back to my people to get my Igbo right. And also not just getting my Igbo right, I feel there is a vacuum when it comes to, Renaissance, art Renaissance down here. So I was going to be part of these persons that want to push it from
just hold
the knowledge
that.
I got from
There's something. I think you touched on something as I had my producers actually insisted. They gave me like a long list of of questions because they insisted that because Namagi,
okay,
this conversation might. We're from the same place. I'm also from Nome, so we're brothers.
Yeah.
And the story of how we both discovered that and I have to tell this story. So Sunday runs a gallery here called the N Gallery here in Enugu in the Peninsula. One of the few galleries that we're lucky to have in this city.
Just a director in the gallery.
Yeah.
The N Gallery director.
Yeah, very, 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 very humble. Thank you. Your humility is pleasing.
The N Gallery director
is pleasing to me. And so I went there with Kelechi, my assistant, and we, because I was curious. I wanted to visit galleries. I love art.
Yeah.
And we got talking. I don't know how we got talking about where you're from. I
think
I asked you.
Exactly.
Yeah. And you said, no man. And then you said this thing about
the king.
The Igwe.
I was quick to impress on you that there are plenty places that is looking for development. Yeah. And from where I'm coming from, or from my own village, there is a water.
Yes, we talked about
Mvuna. Yeah, we talked about Mvuna. Yeah. So I was like, if not the Igwe of my village that even deemed it fit to even open one small bar that for people to come and at least people from the diaspora to come and enjoy. He now looked at me. I was shocked. He said, "Oh, that's the Igwe." I said, "Yeah, the Igwe of Nume." I said, "Okay." You smiled. I looked at it. He said, "Yeah, I'm the Igwe."
Yeah. So which is funny. I mean, this is one of those things where, and it's a small world. So we were telling me about Mvuna, and he says, "Oh, the Igwe." I'm like, "Okay." That actually happens to be my dad. So it was quite a surreal moment for both of us. But back to this thing, because you grew up in the North.
Yes, sir.
In a very traditional, the North is known for its conservative, traditional setting and beliefs, and the society is a bit more structured and sort of conservative. Definitely more conservative than the South.
Very well.
And you found a passion for something which, again, if you contextualize it within the North, being a visual artist is not something that is very common in the North. So what was that thing? I know I've asked you this before on the documentary we're making, which should be out in a couple of weeks. I think you guys should look out for this. It's fantastic. You find this man in his elements. But you grew up in that society. What was it that drew you to becoming an artist, a visual artist, a painter, a sculptor? What was the thing in your background that sort of helped to push you in that direction? Because I've asked you, I said, is it that it was your love for art, or was it that art fell in love with you?
The thing is, I've been asked this question several times. Yeah. No matter what climb, no matter what background, every child that comes into the world is an artist. Every child that comes into this world is an artist, but the trouble is remaining an artist. So I've said it several times in everywhere I found myself that I'm a child that survived childhood. Because many parents or everybody wants their child to be tailored in a particular, depends on the background they're coming from. But for me, from drawing lines on the ground to place where doing some curvilinear lines on the wall, staining the wall with charcoal, going to classrooms to do different things, scribbling on paper at a very small, because imagine giving the child a pen and a plain sheet. The child must have seen you one way or the other do something, but the child does not know exactly what you're doing. Now, if you check some of the scribbles children do, you'll find out that there are a whole lot of drawings that are abstracts that are in there. But the thing is, continuity is what finally makes a child to become an artist. So my northern background, I don't even know. I was not conscious of where I was when I was doing this thing. But
so I mean, sorry to
okay.
cut you. I hate to be that guy cutting people when there's a story flow, but there's something very crucial that you're saying, which is that your surrounding, there was no limitation to your creativity at that stage.
Yes.
So you could express yourself.
You
didn't see the societal,
at all,
the conservativeness of the society as a barrier.
Yeah, the child is open-minded,
Mm-hmm.
right? The child is open-minded, and every creative person, whether old or young, is open-minded. Once you're open-minded, But
Sunday, isn't it possible that, wouldn't you also say that your immediate family background in terms of your parents, your father, your mother, did not sort of, pigeonhole you? They let you.
No.
They allowed you to express yourself.
No, there was many trouble, but I started fighting from a very young age.
Okay.
Right? Too many troubles, because my dad wanted me to become a medical doctor. You know this thing, like when a child is perceived to be intelligent. Oh, they want to say, oh, hey, my doctor. Everybody will be calling you names. Doctor, hey, doctor, just to start brainwashing you to go to a particular direction. But each time my dad comes to our shop, I started from Bible story, I started drawing. So my drawings were at a very early stage. My drawings were very neat drawings, even in primary school. So, secondary school, the thing continued like that. So there was no stop of the thing I was doing. So my parents okay, if that is what he wants to do, then we can't stop him. But do you know what? They don't even know if they study fine art in the university or not.
Yeah.
But the thing is, there is this perception that every child that knows how to play very well and does all this drawing may end up badly in future. So my dad came one day and packed all my drawings and poured inside the rain and said, I'm a very, very, look at what I'm doing. God has blessed me with brain. I'm not serious. Look at every time I'll be littering everywhere. Customer will come to buy something in my mom's shop and I'll be busy. Instead of answering customer, I'll be busy doing drawing. But I continued. But at some point, they couldn't stop me, because in 2008, while I was in my secondary school class, I think I did the portrait of the governor. And how much did I buy the frame? 150 naira with maybe a glass of 80 naira, 1620 frame. And I drew the portrait of the governor. So, nothing was supposed to have come out of it. But I pushed very hard to say, oh, look what I have done. Oh, please, you should show the governor. And God helped answer that prayer. And the MC of the event, Annual Schools Carnival of Arts and Festival of Science, okay, come. That a student wants to give you this. So on that day, it fetched money for me. It fetched fame for me in the twinkle of an eye. That was when the perception
changed. That there could be something. There could be something here.
150,000 at that time.
Wow. Even now, 150,000.
No, 150 as at 2008.
Wow.
But there is something that I will tell you that would thrill the world. So, the governor now said I should even bring my mom. My mom had a C-session for one of my younger ones, and just 3 days, and he said I should bring my mom to collect that 150,000 and another money that the governor wants to give to me. So, an Igbo boy in the north, and has made this fame, everywhere in the school.
Who was the governor then?
Muaz Babangida Aliyu.
Okay, Muaz Babangida. Okay.
Apart from that, everyone was calling me Talba friend, Talba. Yeah. That was his
that was
title.
what they called title.
Talba Mina. Everyone was calling me Talba. So you could imagine this thing that this boy always do as play is what has fetched fame for him. So the fame has even gone past the intelligent students.
Yeah.
So not every child is intelligent, but not every intelligent child is creative, but every creative child is intelligent.
Wow, that's profound.
You know?
I mean, that concept of every creative child is intelligent.
Yes,
it is. When I think about it, you're absolutely right, because it takes a supreme kind or a higher level of intelligence to be creative.
May not be doing well in school activity, in
additional mathematics.
Exactly. But when it comes to creativity, because there's nothing I did not create. But what I was going to tell you that shocked you, I got the job of being a fine art teacher at the age of 16 to 17 in a secondary school.
Wow.
I started teaching fine art.
But were you out of school or that?
Just before I finished my NECO exam, somebody that was seeing me do this thing, there was a need for a fine art teacher in a private school that my dad pulled out from because the school fees was becoming expensive.
Okay.
And he pulled us out of it. The name of the school is called FEMA Schools. And my dad pulled us out, but there was no way for us to go back to school. I went to a public school, Arome Model School. But that same school was looking for a fine art teacher. That was when somebody came and said, they've gone to make a case for me that I went to a particular big institution for learning art, that I can draw very well. So the school now said, okay, they should bring the person. They never knew it was like, they never knew that somebody like myself. Yeah. The day I went to the school, I wore a shirt and a jean and a green shoe that one of my friends from Benin Republic bought for me. And when I went to the school, they're like, who's small boy is this? So they now gave me interview to draw a scene and also do one small article, the importance of education in Nigeria. So I have my writings. I write to intimidate you. If I'm writing for you,
you have that style.
If I write for you, I write intentionally because everything about me is centered around art, you know. So I did my write-up and the drawings. On that day, on the 25th of May 2010, I was given a job to become a fine art teacher. Guess how much was my salary? 30,000 naira. As at that time. When I was going around the school, the students started shouting, "Color riot, color riot, color riot." And they were shouting, it was the clothes that I was really putting on color riot. But I was so small. Imagine I'm small now. Yeah. Imagine what my height would be. This is 14 years ago. Yeah. And when they say color riot, they never knew that in that JS3 class, they never knew that they thought I came to write entrance exam to go to SS1.
They didn't know you were going to be their teacher.
Then, the next day I came, I said, I will do fine art teacher. But for peace to reign, Biko, I know something that you don't know.
Yeah.
I just want to teach you. So don't look at me as...
I think we'll take a break. And so if you want to know something that you don't know about Sunday, please join us after this break. We'll be back. Libation will be back in a minute. Thank you so much, guys. Please stay with us. Welcome back to Libation with sculptor Sunday Chukwu. I'm one of those people that actually dislike that prefix, the way people say engineer, professor. I mean, professor is okay, doctor is okay, but architect, this person, town planner, this. I think every time I hear it, it sort of grinds at me. It's like an iron grinder.
One of my teachers said it's somebody that his name is not powerful that looks for a prefix
to add to it. Yeah, that thing sort of discombobulates me in a way. I love this big word, discombobulate.
That's what you
I try. You know, Sunday, we when we talked, earlier, we I asked you this question about art finding you, and you sort of confirmed that it was you have this love affair with art that sort of found its way to you and picked you and chose you. And you obviously started as a youngster, at an early age. You won this prize, this very, very huge prize as a youngster. You started teaching at a very young age.
Yes.
You were barely out of your teens.
For 3 years.
Yes, and you taught fine arts to secondary school students. And obviously, during our conversations and our research, and we've been talking for many weeks and months. And you went to Uniben. And you were also, I know that there was some huge thing you did, metalwork,
21st century sculpture, yes.
That won significant awards as well. Tell me, what made you move from drawing on paper, painting, to metalwork, to sculpting in that sense? What was the thing that moved you in that?
When I was going to go fully into the arts, I was going to do the hardest thing in art. We came to sculpture. We have different sections in art. We have textile, we have graphics, we have painting, we have art history, we have metal design and we'll have sculpture. In all this, when we're going to do specialization in 300 level, few people, like 2 or 3, wants to go to sculpture, right? But in my set, we had about 8 people that went into sculpture. But I was going to go to the hardest thing. And when you come into the sculpture studio, there are different mediums to express yourself. We have cement, we have fiberglass, we have other mediums, both addictive and subtractive method of making sculpture. But I chose to do metal sculpture because it was the most difficult when it comes to trying to weld. Because every person that attempted welding, because you don't have the rules and regulation in your first attempt, you have trouble with your eyes because of the welding light and everything. In fact, you won't test it and don't drop it if you don't have passion for it. But I tested it in 200 level, and man, the next day was Sunday. I couldn't see. Like, me and my friend were there, and me, it was like, imagine opening your eyes and pour sand in your eyes, and like, you were like, oh, if the next, God help me, if you deliver me from this one, I'm not going to do it again. But I said this is what I wanted to do, and I started, assembling junks, putting rods. I was going to do any art that casts shadows. So I felt like when you do a 3-dimensional work of art, it's more interesting than just doing something on paper. And a lot of people do something on paper. So if I only really want to express myself and express the kind of works I want to produce, it has to be in sculpture, and not just in sculpture, in metal. And I like the metal sculpture because it's both addictive and subtractive. If you see something not good...
Explain what?
Okay. When we said...
Because I used to think I have sense, but addictive and subtractive...
Okay, let me take you through. I'm going to break it down. Okay, now in sculpture, when you carve wood,
you're taking off.
You're taking off. That is subtractive method. So there is no way you can add something back to a wood carving.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. So that is true. That is subtractive method of making the sculpture. So you have to be very, very any chisel, your chisel. So if you miss it, you have to turn it into a design. Yeah. Right. So the same thing with when you're modeling with cement. That is an addictive method of making sculpture. So if you must knock off, it will take you a whole lot. It may,
because you've used cement already.
Yes, so it may distort the form. But with metal sculpture, after creating my armature, if I decide that this hand is like this, I'll bring up my angle grinder and cut it off. And another thing for me, it's a secret, but I'm telling the world today, it saved me money. Right? If you do a work in clay and you want to reproduce in fiberglass, or when you do the work in clay, when you reproduce in fiberglass, you take mold, you use silicone. By the time you start putting other fiber mats, buying resin to reproduce, it will not give you the detail as it was when the work was modeled. So you buy all those things. But for me, when you say do 2, say do 1 assignment, I will do 10. Because when I go to mechanic workshops, I had bicycle in Unibed. I had the bicycles I bought in 300 level for my mobility. So there is no part of Bini that I did not go to. Uwelu, if you see Iron Condemn, they are learning. I was really there. Because when I go there, I will tell her, please.
So your wife described me as Iron Bender.
When
Susan says you're Iron Bender, she's not lying.
No, I said, give me. So when you pick this junk, like, there are some parts of the wheel of the car that some rods there. So that's when you pick, it will give you like an elbow effect. So you imagine using it. You pick something again that is like, this can make a head. So all I need to do is just to assemble these things and create a piece.
So your work is both addictive
and subtractive.
Subtractive in a way.
Yes, that was what I'm trying to explain to you.
Oh, interesting. I mean, so I've gotten this education now. I want to ask, in all of this, why did you come back to Enugu?
I told you that I felt that I had a whole lot to give, but I have to go back to my people because I wanted to do my work centering around Igbo philosophy and Igbo cosmology, right? Okay. The visual arts here is somehow misinterpreted by the people as being fetish. So as a fine artist, I have to, put myself in a place where I say, come, this is not a fetish thing. This is aesthetic. it has values. Our ancestors did this kind of stuff just to bring some form of goodwill. And this is what is let me just finish this thought.
So finish this.
This is what is in line with what the Western people has brought to us. You know what they call the placebo effect? You know what they call the power of intuition? You know what they call, some you hear and you're thinking about somebody, the person calls you. So if the Western people are telling us this story, I read a whole lot of books. If you read books like The Secret by Rhonda Byrne, you read The Power, you read all these books, you know that what we are practicing in this Igbo society is much more than what they've practiced there, because they came here and studied all these things, went back and put it in text, and everybody's exalting them. I say, oh, and the same thing with, I'm a Christian, but the same thing with, oh, you will make it. Amen. You're collecting this blessing. But what is doing you is your belief system. So this belief system was what our ancestors taught their children from. You're going to have big band. So when you have this mentality, you go out there as a powerful person. But when there is a self-defeat in your heart because you feel you're not up to, you become a mediocre. So all these things are what that existed here. We had a very interesting form of civilization, right? In Igbo land. That from my research. So there's so many things like from in proverbial expression, it has been there. If you agree with you, your personal God will agree with you. It's the same thing as, if you believe in God, He's going to supply all your needs. Someone will be coming to preach to you for salvation and say, oh, just accept Jesus as your Lord and personal Savior. And you say, oh, I accept Lord Jesus. By the time you pray that prayer, there's a feeling in your heart that, oh, I'm giving my life to Christ. Then you start having a communication. The same thing that existed amongst us. Because when you pray, you say, God help me. Chineke, from Chukwu, it was turned to Chukwu. The Chineke, the God that created. So we had belief. There is a very good similarity between the Igbo religion and Christianity. That is why we are practicing more than every other ethnic group in Nigeria.
It's a good area of thought that you've gone into, which has been. I had this conversation a few years ago with someone, and it was one of my producers on one of the shows that I used to do, and she's a staunch born again. Ekene, if you watch this, it's you I'm talking about. And we argued because my central thesis is that on two levels, the white man came here, saw how powerful we were as a people, saw that we are ordinarily peaceful.
Very.
We're not drawn to the black man. Our violence is very sporadic and it ends. We're not. We don't follow through with, premeditated violence of conquest and ours is to settle quarrel.
Is that Kaudocha?
Yeah, we've moved on. But they came here. They saw the system. They saw how the values were placed in artifacts and certain objects, and they destroyed, and some of them they took away. So on one hand, and this is one argument, there's two strands of it. This first one is basically that. Is it possible, for example, in Benin, where the British Empire went and
invasion 1897?
Yeah, and that
they looted. After looting, before they burnt,
desecrated. That somehow, and they did this across the whole of Africa and the whole of Nigeria. And is it possible that in taking away the things that we value, the objects and the things that we revered and valued, that somehow they took away our pride, our sense, our value. They took away some parts of our spirit in a way that eviscerated us, that conquered us, that we became the conquered. And, and then gave us something else, which is to replace that thing.
Yes.
But it's not as adequate.
Let me come in here.
We have a few minutes on this segment, so just
let me come in here.
Yeah.
there was an immediate replacement. It was a premeditated move.
Mm-hmm.
It was a premeditated move. When they came down here, they said, "Oh, this thing is bad. This thing is fetish. Why are you doing this? Bring it." Just like when you see a child, when you see a child playing with something, you say, "Oh, you don't. You want to take that thing from that?" You say, "Come."
You give him something else.
Come, bring it.
Sweet. Give him sweet.
What are you doing with this thing? It's not good for you. You bring it, you put it back, and you say, "Take." A child is happy. But the thing is, there was this consciousness. If you read Things Fall Apart by Chinua Achebe, you see all these things played out, right? Christianity is a fantastic religion. However, we were going to get self-realization immediately. So that gap between not realizing until after some people started asking questions, what's happening to our culture? Oh, by that time everybody had gone one direction. That direction now. So we said, this direction you go is good. However, there are some values that binded us that we shouldn't have left. And that is what that vacuum I'm trying to cover with the art I create.
This has been an interesting discussion so far. I'm loving it. We'll take a break. God help me, I don't forget to ask this question when we'll come back, please. We'll be back in a minute. This is a TV show. We have to go and try and do some other things to sell market to make sure we continue to stay on air. So we'll be back in a minute. Welcome back to Libation, this special edition of Libation with the one young man who is sort of, with one work, and that's the impact of art. One singular work changed the public art space, in terms of how in the Enugu and in the Igbo, how we see, art in public spaces. The Ijele masquerade installation that he did at Onasata roundabout here in Enugu just changed the game. I mean, we've had roundabouts in this city. I mean, probably the most monumental one has been the coal miners one. That's also pretty significant one. But this one, because of the colors and the way it just, and where it sits, it's changed the game. I would say to those who are avid art collectors, better hold on to this young man. We are lucky here at Afia TV, because you don't blow. There's one work he did for us that's here in as you enter our studio. Beautiful work that sits atop the name into our office. Sunday, thank you. I can't thank you enough for that piece. But we were talking before we went on the break. We talked about the importance of how the colonialists sort of came here and did us a hand switch. They took from us, and they gave us something. And not that what they gave us is innately bad in itself. It's just that it disconnected us from our essence.
Exactly.
Do you feel that, in the works that you're doing, that you're trying to sort of reconnect us back to that? And there was something you talked about, the hand snake and something.
What I said? Yeah. That the green snake stays in the green grass is not foolishness. It's a calculated accuracy on how to get a prey. Mm-hmm. Right? To answer your question, countries like China have a very interesting cultural background that when even they go to world conferences, as educated as they are in the what is called education, Western education,
science and technology,
but they still keep on to using AirPods to listen to whatsoever anybody that is speaking in English saying. That means if you go there, they know that they don't want to start saying, they understand English, so they just go at it. They don't know anything. Hence, you see the kind of marriage between Western education, cultural significance, and they're marrying it, and you can see development going on, even as one of the most populous countries.
It is
in the
funny.
world.
I mean, sorry, I have to butt in here, but you just touched on something that I find quite interesting. This idea of marrying, and I think we have, I won't say foolishly, but in a way we have sort of, what's the word now? Becca, English fails me, or how do I say this now? It's almost like we have giving up. We have bequeathed
exactly
to the West the idea that science and technology and development is their sole gift
property,
to
yes.
humanity, or property to humanity, and that we should be privileged to be taken from them. And meanwhile, Shebi, it was the Arabs, the Moors, the black Arabs that gave, or the black Muslims that gave them how to use fork and knife, that gave them mathematics. It was the Arab, it was Muslim world that gave us algebra, they gave us
we had
look in the moon, the Dogon of Mali.
Timbuktu. Now let me tell you, we had 7 powerful emirates in the world before now. And about 4 or 3 of them are from Africa. We have the El Kanem Empire in Meduguri, present-day Meduguri. We have the Benin Kingdom. They were powerful kingdoms that were going to war. You can equate them to the Greek and Roman Empire. In here, we had the ECBD, the Uli symbols. In Egypt, the Uboku. In Egypt, they had the hieroglyphics. In Greek, they had their own form of writing in Athens, right? But if you go to these places now, you find that their own stuff is still making waves, even in Arab countries. Arabic is not like directly Muslim religion. It's a kind of writing and a form of communication.
Exactly. How the name Arabic.
Exactly. But we were so washed that when we held something and they said, look this side, and when you just look this side, they collected that thing from me and said, look again. I said, oh, that thing you were holding is the same thing. It's just that we've just changed it. Right? And that is this conversation should ensue so that we as a people will know that.
So is that why I've been to your gallery and I've seen the works you've done? Like,
you've been to the End Gallery.
The End Gallery. I like how you put it. You're always correcting me. I've been to your End Gallery.
The End Gallery.
I've been to your
End Gallery.
Okay. However, let's accept.
Okay.
But I've seen the work that you did, the Miri Marugo Salero.
Sarugaru, yes.
I've seen some of the work where you sort of infuse
in
CBD. Even in the work, the Jella installation, you used it profusely and quite, very liberally. You find it across the thing. Is that your way of trying to use art to reconnect us to this vision of who we are as a people, trying to connect Ndibo, or trying to connect us Africans as well to our culture?
Let me give you a background to that. In alphabet, 26 alphabet, 5 vowel sounds, 21 consonants. They are just for how to speak with the tongue. A, B, C, D, E. No meanings. Except you bring some of the alphabets together, it would create a meaning. L-O-V-E, love. Oh, love yourself, love your neighbor. In each CBD symbol, we had symbols that represent an idea. That represents...
It was complete on its own.
It's a complete... Each of these CBD symbols is not for you to learn how to make pronunciations. Numbers, 1 + 1, 2. If you don't play with numbers, it won't make meaning. 10,000 + 10,000, 20,000. You have to put the 1,000 and put all the numbers there. But in this CBD, we had ideograms that represent idiomatic expressions. Onye biri kaibe ya biri. Live and let's live. In just one drawing or in just lines. Right? If these values that were there, ancestors practice. Do you know the funny thing? If there is someone that is suffering from infertility or having issues with health, there were no orthopedic hospital or no gynecologists that
The way we
were
know it
giving,
today,
the way we do it.
Yeah.
But they were surviving. And the way they were eating, the kind of food they were eating, they knew that this is good and this is bad. They will go to a hut and make you have some belief system, do some drawings on the wall that speaks to that situation that you found yourself. And if you believe, and somebody suffering from infertility goes in there, and
it is profound, and that's the second thing of what I was going to talk about. That I was saying that Kene, my former producer, we used to argue a lot, which is that shared beliefs are such a powerful thing. And shared beliefs, whether it's in Christianity, whether it's in Igbo cosmology or African cosmology, if it's shared by a large majority of people, it becomes their reality, and that reality becomes palpable.
Look at developed world. It's true. Look at developed world. In America, you can't tell who is poor and who is rich. But when you come here, you can tell. Because the belief system, we see somebody, madam, come on, let's do this. Hey, Biko Kwao. Hey, they see it like that is the brainwashing that has happened to us. And we must, as a people, intentionally re-educate our people.
Do you think that is the place of art and the kind of art?
And that is why I'm using an aesthetic representation to say this thing is beautiful, it's fine. However, it's pointing to a particular direction that we should embrace our own. For crying out loud, go to British Museum, go to Museum of African Art in America. 80% of the works there are African arts.
Even Picasso copied from his
lines. He came to Africa.
Yeah.
So, from Egypt, some of all it's in there. And do you know the funny thing? If you see a piece in British Museum, it's not just kept like that. It is sealed. And when they come here, they do what we call radiocarbon 14 testing and still buy art.
It's amazing that the bronze work from Benin or the bronze and clay works from Ibuku happened at a time when the intricacy, the beauty of the lines and the craftsmanship.
These guys were
still living in caves in caves in the UK.
There were no finance. There were no sophisticated finance.
The ledger works in Nsukka, in up north here in Nsukka, where these guys were. They were doing iron smelting.
Go to see Econ Monolith.
5,000 years ago.
Look at Econ Monolith. These guys were. I said, sir.
So, I think it's almost like both of us are agreeing, at least somewhat, that the idea that we have lost, we're lost because we're not very, and I talked about this.
We're not fully lost.
Yeah, well, we're not. I mean, we've lost some things, but I'm saying that the idea that we're not fully Western.
Mm-hmm.
We're not quite African.
We're not embracing our culture.
Yeah, you find. I mean, there's a marriage that's happening now, even within the Catholic Church. I was with a Catholic priest the other day who was in charge of the cultural Igbo cultural outreach or something like that. I can't remember the father's name. I remember, and he was talking about how the church is trying to reconnect Igbo people to our cultural ancestry and roots, but still maintaining so they're trying to form a marriage, in fact, which is because he came here the other day talking about now the church, the diocese here in Enugu, Iriji, the Iriji festival, which is, and you still see that in Spain. They still run, they still do things.
They still practice in India. And let me tell you the truth. All animals run. But the cow say when she does it, people say she's mad. Who does not want good things? But if I was saying something, if we are united, one thing we should do is to embrace our culture, get the Western education. Men will be development is an understatement. The world is too small for what we would achieve.
Because development is a state of mind.
Exactly, but there is a conscious effort to stop us from embracing.
Is it that
our
they're
culture.
stopping us, or that we we are applying tools and strategies and the mindset which is not allowing us to discover who we are and to be expressive.
And that is why
but that's key,
a belief system is forced on the people, right? So as a person, you have to be open-minded. You don't want somebody to bring in a particular school of thought and give you an admission into it. If I want to go to a particular school, if I want to go to Mr. American Bass University, I seek for admission and I go to your school. Anything you teach there, that is what I want to. I want to learn from you. I want to learn your style. If I don't want to learn from you, I go to another place. But people cannot force you and brainwash you to go to a place whereby you know that it will not make any sense for you, just for possibly gains that are ephemeral gains, because all these are ephemeral things. People, I'm going to do miracle for you. You're going to do this. We're going to do this. At the end of the day, you say, hey, thank you. People, we are so problematic that anything that comes in any means is yes. So that's why people use the religion very well to get to the heart of the people. And when they get them, they get what they squeeze them, and they throw them away. The people start going back to their culture.
Interesting. Sunday, you're not just a sculptor, you're also a philosopher and a seer of visions. Guys, we're going to go back and take this break. We'll come back, and I'd like to conclude something about the Ijele installation and ask him how, the why, and why they did what they did, and what he thinks is the significance of it to the renaissance of Igbo culture and African culture as well. We'll be back in a minute. Welcome back to Libation, special edition of Libation with sculptor Sunday Chukwu, whose Ijele installation at Onuasata is just taking the world by storm. We've been having conversation over the past hour. I have this wicked producer, her name is Tiny, who didn't quite tell me how many minutes I have left on this show. She just ambushed us, because it's not just me. And she now says we have just barely a few minutes left. And I have to ask you this question, because this is the centerpiece of this show, which is about what does it mean to be Igbo? What does it mean to you to be as an Igbo person? What do you hold dear?
I started appreciating the fact that I'm Igbo in recent times. Why? The Igbo people hold some great value. I'm privileged to be Igbo. So I think as a messenger, as an artist, I see myself as a messenger. I think the Almighty had willed it that I should be Igbo to go in there and practice my art and talk about the Igbo people at this time in life, because some other people like myself must have existed before now. And I'm just going to do my bit now that I'm opportune to do so, and also liberate my people from the perception or the school of thought that has been forced on them, that has made us to be a little bit backwards. Very powerful people, industrious people, great people. Imagine us embracing our culture and tradition. Men, we're going to be the biggest ethnic group in the world.
Thank you so much, Sunday. It's been an awesome day, wonderful privilege to have you here joining me on Libation.
Thank you very much.
I think that this particular episode, it's going to speak loud. It's going to go places because you have taken the Igbo heritage and culture.
Yeah.
You've put us on the map with, perhaps I hate to say it, because not to belittle your previous efforts or your future endeavors, but I think that Ijele thing probably is a marker to the future of what you're going to be. I'm supremely confident that you're going to do great things. You've already done. You've done great, but I have high hopes. of seeing you do even much, much bigger and greater things.
Thank you very much. I'm grateful.
Thank you, Sunday.
Thank you for having me.
So, guys, it's been my pleasure to be your host on this episode of Libation. I hope you've enjoyed our conversation. You can continue to follow us, and we are on multiple platforms. In fact, the Spotify audio version will be out soon if find my other producer makes it possible, where you can find some clips on TikTok, on YouTube. Obviously, you can watch the entire thing on YouTube. Catch us on Instagram, Facebook, and on all the platforms, on the digital platforms that are out there. It's always a pleasure to have you guys join us. Until next time, see you guys. Bye.